All right, welcome to the Ericzone podcast. Today I'm with Reina Hallab. She's a public speaker and ambassador for healthy living. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric, for having me on your beautiful podcast.
It's my pleasure.
I'm so honored.
Thank you so very much for being here. So before starting, I just want to thank people that are watching the podcast, that share. Go on Balado Quebec if you want to see other Quebec podcasts. After that, it goes on to iTunes, YouTube, and Facebook. So thanks for all the likes and the shares. Very appreciated. It's an art form, conversation. It's an art form to be able to exchange with someone and have humility and allow for transparency and allow for, like, I'm putting my guard down. I'm putting my defenses down.
You're being transparent. You're being yourself. Yeah.
But not everybody can do that. There's a lot of insecurities for certain
Unfortunately,
individuals.
this is why when someone is not really in sync with who they truly are, they're afraid to show their true self. And this is where people are working on showing who they truly are. Because what we truly are just light, pure souls. And whatever came into our life is something we've been conditioned with since we were born in this life.
Right before we started, we were talking about, like, a past guest that I had, the neurolinguistic programming, Ram Damerson. So is that, in a sense, what the way you visualize it, like pure energy or?
You know, where did your soul come from?
That's a pretty deep question. That goes with my belief system, I guess.
So it came from a place that is very light. It's pure. You know, every soul that comes to this earth is pure in a body. That body has parents, has family, has society, has traditions, has maybe religions, has so many layers, so many things that you just add on.
That influence
you.
In positive or negative ways.
Absolutely. And so we become like an onion that you want to peel to really see again that diamond that's inside.
The purity, the center. Yeah. And that's not something that you can achieve within one day. It's a lifetime process. We'll learn how to perfect ourselves in our own way, in our own life every single day. But how do you get that? How do you reach that humility? How do you reach, because it takes, like I mentioned, it's like you put down your defenses, you're totally transparent with other people, and then it's at that point that there can be other people are going to, use that not against you. Well, yeah, against you. They use it for their own benefit. They say, oh, that person is just genuinely nice and is not looking to, and then those people, they just use that to themselves, enrich themselves, or take up some room or take up some space.
Well, it's because those people...
Am I insecure?
No, not at all. No, those people haven't found the light yet. So, there's fear, and then there's something on the opposite. There's anxiety, and then there's something on the opposite. So if we take fear, let's say put love on the opposite. When there's love, do you think there is fear?
It's the counterweight. It's the balance.
So when there's no fear, just love is what exists. Because when you're in your heart, you feel that everything around you is super calm, super relaxed. You feel so in tune with everything that's inside and outside of you. But when there's fear, you start questioning things. What am I doing? Am I doing it right? When there's anxiety, there's no peace.
I thrive for that. I try to reach that. There are certain situations where stress is inevitable.
But that's the thing. When there's a stress, you ask yourself, what is stress? Where is it coming from? What kind of stress am I creating around me, within me? Do you follow with me?
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to turn on a light there. Damn it. Sorry. I just need to see if it's gonna. In my field of work, there's like, I don't know. It seems like stress is always there. There's always gonna be, I don't know. Is that perceived as stress? Is that like like a heightened awareness about my own personal self and my personal beliefs and the world around me is like, there is a balance and there is a way to achieve like a focus that will bring me to like a Zen situation where I can't make any mistakes. Or when I do, I just...
But we learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, we do, eh?
Everything that happens in our life is to teach us something. Everything, whatever it is, a positive or a negative. It's not about even thinking about it, whether it's positive or negative. Just thinking of a situation. Well, how is it serving me? Like now with the light.
Yeah.
It happened for a reason.
Exactly.
And it's okay.
That's true.
And when you think about it, that it's okay, your whole stress, anxiety, leaves your body.
No, that's true, because when I feel the stress, let's say the light as an example, I feel the stress and then I feel certain darker emotions like related to anger, that brings anger, and then it just brings me down a whirlwind of like of negative, disturbing emotions that keep me off the focus.
Yeah, and you know what? You're not alone, because so many people go through that.
Everybody goes through that.
Even myself sometimes, because as I said, we're not perfect. We're learning to perfect things the way we feel right about it. At the same time, not allowing that anxiety to overtake us.
That takes a lot of work.
It takes consciousness. And it takes mindfulness. Because when you are in that mindfulness, you feel such a peace and relaxation. Like even now I'm on a podcast. It's not like I've done interviews before, but I haven't, like, especially during this pandemic, it's not like I've been speaking a lot to people. So, but then you'd be like, okay, I'm in my heart. Allow what's coming to be said. So why am I going to stress about it? I'm just going to, I'm just going to play this game and enjoy it.
How did you figure that out? How did you reach that realization that you had this ability to live that way, but also to understand it and explain it to others? Was there a moment where it's like,
It's a work in progress. I have started my whole self-work almost in 2010. And 2011 is when I stepped further into it. 2012 when I got really into it more. And then 2014 is when I grasped it all.
And sharing it with others?
And definitely. The thing is, I believe that once you experience something, it's much easier to explain it and express it to others. I cannot just come and read a book and start stating things from a book. That book is not my experience. It's someone else's experience. I connect to the book because it might have some information for me, but it's not my experience. When it comes to what you have lived and what you've been through, the moment you start sharing, it comes from your heart. It doesn't come from a place of a mental state. It comes from a very peaceful, heartful state. Through the process that I've been into. In 2010, I discovered raw vegan food. The first time, the raw food. I was in Boston on a road trip with a friend who was vegetarian, and who the person was receiving us was like also someone who eats everything. And I was super frustrated. I'm like, why are we going to a raw food restaurant? And he just said, hey, Reina, just relax. You'll be surprised. And I'm like, whatever, And then what happened is that when we placed the food from the starter to the dessert, every bite, literally, was like fireworks in my mouth. I'm like, oh my God, it tastes amazing. Oh my God, this has so many flavors. I can taste everything. I can taste all the spices, all the sourness, all the sweetness in one bite. I'm like, whoa, something is there. And this is when I realized, I'm like, okay, this is uncooked food prepared with love, with so many tastes inside. And then you feel the energy of the food. And for me, that was a turning point. Coming back to Montreal, going to the one and only place that was raw vegan, and now it closed, unfortunately. Crudescence. I don't know if you've...
Yeah, my sister told me about this place. Yeah, Crudescence. Yeah.
Exactly. And at that time I was working, so I spent most of my salary just eating there.
What happened there? Was it because of the COVID? Was it because they closed?
No. The boys, the guys actually who were the owners, they sold it. I think the period, I don't know the story, but I believe the period was not as profitable as they thought it would be, although they were open for maybe, 6-7 years.
Yeah, that's my sister told me about that, about the Crudescence, and it's sad that it closed. It was going on for 7 years almost?
I believe so. I believe so. They had so many places. They had the academy, that I learned at the academy. It's funny, my story with Crudescence is because I loved it so much that I was almost there a lot. And the first time I went there was after my trip to Boston. And it is when I went with a friend. And while eating, I just saw my life. I'm like, what is that? Like, whoa. And I signed up for a 1-hour free introduction that I went to. And I'm like, everything that David Cote was the one who was presenting. And I felt so connected to every word he was saying. And I'm like, wow, at the hospital, let's say, they don't serve you healthy food. You go down the vending machine, there's all garbage food, And I'm like, you're going to the hospital and they're not serving you the right type of food.
That's surprising, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you would be like, let's say, lost in the jungle or maybe somewhere, I don't know, and then you get hungry. You're not going to just grab a cow or whatever animal that's there that you're going to just eat it. You might grab something from the trees, a fruit or whatever, So it is actually very logical.
Yeah, it is, totally. There are a few examples. I think I saw this... Paul Stamets, he had a TED Talk, and he's a specialist in mushrooms. And so he was talking about, I believe, his mother who had cancer. The doctor said, listen, she was too old and they couldn't operate. And so the doctor said, maybe you should try this particular type of mushroom. I think it was turkey tail.
Well, there's definitely a lot of truth behind food.
Turkey tail.
And also our body, super intelligence to heal itself. Super intelligent.
Yeah, if it absorbs the nutrients that are there to go into the body and fight specific ailments or diseases, I mean, there's no way that it wouldn't work.
The thoughts.
The thoughts?
Yeah, if you're not afraid, you can turn on the healing process.
Oh, that would generate some positive energy into the body, or the brain would develop, these neurons would connect, would appear to fight certain... it's a belief system.
It's a belief. If the doctor comes to me and says, oh, Reina, you're going to die in 2 days. If I go in this energy of, oh my God, I'm going to die, what I'm going to do, your whole body system, mental, physical, will actually go in that mindset and this energy.
Yeah.
And it can even happen because you're actually believing it. But then when you say, okay, no, you know what? I want to live. I want to enjoy my life. I want to just be, and I want to have fun, and I want to go and discover the world. Yeah. You might add on more lives to your life.
Yeah. Life is amazing.
Life is beautiful.
Life's a trip.
Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking about the food, it really, had a beautiful change on my life. And even after I signed up for a full day at the academy and I went there and I had raw food all day long, which was amazing. And in the end, just making a dessert in half an hour, which is a 3-layer, and putting not a candle, but lighting a cashew nut.
Lighting a cashew nut?
Yes.
What do you mean? To cook it or?
No, you're actually there's a cake.
Okay.
Imagine a 3-level cake. And then instead of having a candle, you light a cashew nut.
Really?
And for me, that was oh my goodness. And I literally had tears. I couldn't believe the abundance of food. I couldn't believe how much energy you can receive by having this raw, living food. Yeah. It's called living because it's alive and you're eating it and you're feeling it in your body. And then it's funny because after this full day, I went to a dinner at my friend's birthday, and coming in, like going home, changing and everything, and I called a cab, and then I want to mention the cab person. He was in his 70s, long white hair, and he started commenting me about my voice, about my smile. I'm like, whoa. He's like, I'm not flirting with you. Like, it's a message. I'm just giving you a message. I'm like, wow. And then he gives me his card and his name on it. And his name is Raphael. If believe in angels, and Raphael is one of the angels. I said, okay, maybe there's a message for me there. Going in the restaurant, my friend just jumped from the inside to the door, saying, "Oh my God, Reina, there's something different about you." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Are you high?" And I'm like, hey, whoa. I've never smoked in my life. I've never done drugs in my life. What are you talking about? She's like, "You look different. There's something shining in you." I'm like, "I had raw food all day." And she's like, she couldn't even process that. And I used to be a person who loves tartare. And I ordered the tuna tartare, I remember, and the food was in front of me, and I'm like, something is not right.
Oh, yeah. But that's not considered to be raw?
Yeah, but it's not living. It's dead.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay.
And I didn't feel the energy. After eating the raw food all day, like from nut milk to sushi rolls made out of, all kinds of dressing made out of sprouts and zucchini, spaghetti, and all of this. I'm like, whoa, there's something really different about all of this.
So your body absorbed those nutrients following that meal, and then you went on with your day, and you go into that taxi, and this man talks with you, but you're way more receptive to what he's communicating, because you've just absorbed this raw, this food that's alive, and it totally impacted your brain, your biology. You feel that's what happened. Is that what happened?
Absolutely. I was in tune and open to receptivity. My energy has been cleansed in that day. And at the same time, I was going through an initiation of level 2 Reiki. It's a Japanese energy healing. So the whole process came right on time. So the receptivity, observing and receiving and understanding the synchronicities, the messages, it was right there in my day to day. I applied for a job at Credescence, and they didn't take me because I wasn't majored in the naturopathy or biology, or I didn't really understand that fact, or these information of being in the natural healthy habits.
Oh, so they were all specialists there.
In a way,
yeah.
Yeah, and I was great in marketing, so I volunteered. And I started going to the office and volunteering, and I helped them build their online store, and they were so generous, and they were giving me those cards to go and buy food from their places, their restaurants, and that was a great experience. And this is when, slowly but surely, I switched 100% to raw food, and for me that was my turning point.
So everybody needs their own belief system in order to be focused, in order to push forward in the day, and all the things they need to do. But is this way of living, is that good for everybody, or
again,
do you think?
It's not a belief system. It's what your body wants and how you experience it.
But I mean, have you checked with a doctor afterwards? Did you get blood tests? Did you get just to see if what you're ingesting has positive impacts on you, scientifically? You see it, and you see the difference. You see the difference.
You don't have cholesterol. You don't have triglyceride. Your sugar level goes down. Your energy goes up. You feel really up and running, and super focused and super, energetic. And my blood tests were amazing.
Because sugar is a big problem.
Oh yeah, sugar is a killer.
That brought so many problems in society. How it brought so many diseases. I mean,
it's an addiction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The moment it gets out of your body, you don't crave. You just eat the time when it's your body is actually asking for food, and not when you're craving it.
Yeah.
So for me, raw food changed my life, and it helped me really rebalance myself, get aligned, and feel the strength that's within me, in addition to the Reiki energy healing and then everything else that came with. And, my whole path changed. I left my job. I started something new and started organizing so many beautiful things. It's just when you start aligning with yourself, it's as if your soul and body come together, and you follow the path that is meant for it to be for you. So I was laid off from my last job, which was with Bombardier, 2014. And at that moment, I was in the car and I was thinking, I'm like, oh my God. Inside, I'm like, now I can do anything I want. And it was like an awakening time. I never liked the job per se, but I loved the people I met. And at every job, those people were my guiding to where I am today. What have I received from being there?
Yeah, we learn every day. We learn from the people around us.
And you realize that those people, it's as if they were present to walk with you on the path.
That major change brought like the future projects. Like you left your job, you lost your job, and now you're a different person, and you feel that you're at a level where you can offer to other people and inspire other people. How has that brought your projects, and when were the first projects, or when was the first time that you thought that you would be able to inspire other people through projects?
Well, the thing is, there's so many revelations that happen in my life, and some have happened a lot earlier than I thought. And I only realized it later, like maybe 14 years later. Back when I was really young, around 1997, I was 16 turning 17. And it was our first trip to France with my family, because I was born in Lebanon, and I've lived in Lebanon until I was at the university. And then I moved back here to continue my education back in 2002. And in 1997 is when I learned that I had an aneurysm. An aneurysm is a brain
clot.
Brain clot. It's one of the arteries that would, have coagulation. So I think that's what we call it. So it gets at one point it would just blow.
Yeah.
I guess I was lucky to discover that earlier. By.
Was it headaches? Did you have headaches?
It's headaches. It's sight. I couldn't see closely, and my eyelid would be like really going lower and stuff like that. And I'm like,
that was 1997.
That was 1997.
And was that before you went to France or after?
It was after the first trip.
Okay.
And it's
Did you get that during the trip?
No, not at all. Apparently, it's something that I was born with. I didn't know. And at the same time, back in France, we were skiing up in the Alps with the family, and then I broke my hand,
okay,
which was my left hand, and then I went back to Lebanon with,
a cast,
with a cast for 3 weeks, I guess. And then, funny enough, during that same period, there was someone who was doing a monoski, also at the Alps, and he came right in my spine.
He crashed into you?
He crashed in my spine. And in that one, I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not paralyzed,
Wait, you broke your hand, he crashed, and that was one thing you broke your hand?
One thing, I broke my hand. One thing, he crashed me.
He crashed into you?
I came back to Lebanon. 2 or 3 months after, I realized I have this brain
oh my goodness. 3 things in like...
It was an interesting year,
1997 is almost as bad as 2020.
So I was hospitalized for almost maybe 2 months. I can't even remember the timing. So first time I went to the hospital for a couple of days. They didn't know what I had. I had headaches for 3-4 days. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was let go for maybe another month. And then by mistake, my father was present, and I was looking at the sunlight, and then my pupil was big. Usually the pupil should be smaller.
Yeah. And
he's like, okay, let's go. There's something wrong.
Oh my goodness.
This is where I started doing all the right tests. And I went to the hospital after, leaving my 2 siblings, my young brother and young sister, me and my family alone. So went to the hospital and did all the tests, and we realized that. So when my parents took the decision that I should do surgery, they needed my consent. Because there were, many risks to take if I would go under a brain surgery,
That's not a small surgery.
No. It's not a small surgery. But what happens is important. Is that in the moment of fear, I felt strong. Even knowing that I had 30% chance of dying at the age of 30 if I don't do the surgery, I want to live.
Yeah.
So I'm like, with all the risk that might be being paralyzed, blind, deaf, whatever, I was ready. And I said, if God wants to take me, I'm ready. I have nothing to fear. And believe it or not, I still remember to this moment, I was laughing. I had a huge smile. And the family around me were like, you can cry if you want. I'm like, why? Why crying? Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I have no control over it.
Crying is fun, though.
Crying is fun, but
it feels good.
I felt strong. Like maybe I wasn't like ready to be vulnerable because something inside of me was.
Was it because you didn't want to disappoint your parents? You wanted to show strength? You're mature for a 16-year-old for that. In face of potential death there or like a big surgery, you were. How did you have that maturity? Was it your parents? Was it your teachers? How did you build that?
Definitely my parents are super, super amazing people. And they brought us to believe that, you know what, we need to let go and live and don't be afraid. And they're so open, they're so liberal, they're so welcoming and full of love. And seeing your parents that they might lose a child and already with what they've been through in Lebanon through the war at the beginning when we were born, me and my sister, and having, other things too, that, losing kids and stuff, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And you just need to have faith. Having faith change your life. Believing that you're not in control of your life makes a huge difference in your life. Because I cannot control my life. I thought for a longest period, I thought I would be in control. But I'm not. Who am I kidding? So by letting go, everything shows up by itself.
That's true.
So what happened in going in this surgery and coming out, I felt like, good, strong and everything. And even waking up in the ICU, I was like laughing. Even the doctor who came to see me, and I even called him by his name and I didn't even know him. Believe it or not.
You probably heard the name while you were under.
While I was unconscious.
Maybe.
Super, like there's so many things that are possible, And 3 days after, my parents come to me and they're like, we have good news and bad news. I'm like, the good news is like, you're here, you're functional, you're perfect, everything's fine. The bad news is that when they opened the brain, it was too big to be clipped.
Really?
And I'm like, oh my God, so what are we going to do now? It's like, well, we are going to have an emergency visa to go to France. Being Lebanese, we don't have a perfect passport that allows us to travel wherever we want, anytime we want. So you need to apply for visas and wait and everything. So we got the visa like in 3 days, which we were super lucky because it was recommended by the doctor. And I went there and, the day of the surgery in the morning, the doctor comes in and like, hey, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to just get over this.
Yeah. Seriously.
He's like, well, you know what, just do that. You have 6% chance of dying on my table. So there's nothing to worry about. We're not going to do a brain surgery. We're going to just do it like an embolisation. So it's in a way allow infiltrate some needles in your veins and then maybe plug in some ressort or whatever.
Okay. So they're going to go inside through the artery to remove the blood clot. They're not going to
block it.
To block it. Okay.
To block the artery.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be awake. conscious.
Really? Oh my goodness. But the first operation you were out though.
Yes.
Okay, but the second one you needed to be awake. Out. Oh my goodness.
I was feeling, they were asking me, move your finger, move your toe. Do you feel that? Do you feel this? The beauty about the story for me is that when the doctor came in my room in the morning, he said, "Hey, so I'm gonna give you a very good gift today." I'm like, "Yeah, of course, it's my birthday." What a gift. Because you don't know. Being born again on
That was
your birthday,
the gift. That was the gift.
It was a perfect gift. So went in, finished that story of being in and out of this operation room because, they needed to make sure you're fine. So now I live with 3 arteries. I believe so. And that's what I remember instead of 4. And fully functional, fully capable. And you know what? When you believe, when you have faith, things change.
So you were reborn in 1997, and you had a rough year, but it turned out to be probably the best year as well.
It wasn't easy for my family, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't easy for my brother and sister because they were left in Lebanon while we were in France, and I had to stay there for a few days to recovery. And I didn't go to school for a couple of months. So when I went back to school, the second year, everybody was against me going up one level, and it was I was in the French baccalaureate, so it's about doing the bac 1 and then bac 2, and bac 1 is oral French and French and écrit French, like it's a test, and I was really bad in French back in school. So when I went back to school, I'm like, okay, so I'm not gonna repeat my bac 1. I'm ready to go in the terminal, like bac 2, and finish school. And everybody, from my teachers, my friends, and the proviseur, like even they're like, no, ça se fait pas. You have to repeat it. I'm like, no, this is my life. It's my choice.
So everybody was against you moving up with the class. You needed to redo the first year, but you believed in yourself and you believed that you were going to be able to push forward.
I was ready.
Okay.
Whatever it takes. So doing 2 years in one. At the end of the year, I had 4 days exam for the terminal and then 3 days exam or 2 days exam for the bac 1. So in total, almost a week of exams.
Oh my goodness!
And I took the specialty for math, so that was the most
demanding.
Demanding.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm like, whatever it takes, it doesn't matter whether I wanted to graduate with my friends. That's what mattered to me, and I studied full time all the year. And I said, okay, once I'm done. I'll just take 6 months sabbatical. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
plus, without the headaches, you must have felt a lot of relief not having the headaches.
I felt strong. I felt focused and ready.
Oh, for sure.
Like when you study like a lot for all this time, and then you just go for the exam. Even though during the exam, I kind of snapped off like. There's things in math I couldn't even remember. Like if you ask me now, I'm like, I'm really bad at math now. Okay. Anyways, when the results day came out, I didn't want to go to school to check my results. I was like, I'm not ready for it. So I get a call, and they're like, hey, come to school right now. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, come to school. And then you made it. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like, yes, you made it. So, I was sleeping on an upper bed, like a
bunk bed.
Bunk bed. So I jumped from upstairs down. I'm like, oh my God. But the thing is, I couldn't be happy because the person who was calling me, he didn't make it. So I sympathized. Instead of grasping all my happiness for me, I kind of said, okay, how can I be happy if the person who's actually calling me didn't make it, So I kept this for me, and I said, okay, I'll just go to school. And I got ready and I went to school. And just by stepping in school, all my friends, my teachers, even the proviseur, they came to me, hugging me, crying. Like, you made it, you made it, you made it. I'm like, inside of me, I was like, well, none of you believed in me. Only if one of you did.
Yeah, but that was a challenge, though. Imagine if everybody would have said, yeah, you can do it, you can do it.
But it doesn't
But you like the
matter.
challenge. Did you like the challenge?
I love the challenge.
Yeah.
I love the challenge because when you challenge, it's between you and yourself. You're not challenging someone else. You're going beyond your limits to see how capable are you.
It's kind of reverse psychology.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know. I just did it.
It was a challenge. No, but you're very mature. I mean, at 16 years of age, if you're able to go through that operation and then go to school and be challenged
But don't forget, I really had a good support system. My parents were there, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my surrounding family. Some of my friends were there, and I feel so honored and grateful to have been surrounded by these amazing people. That's for sure. Even if it's my story, but then if they weren't there, I might not have gone into this strength. Because you keep on questioning yourself, even though they were afraid and worried and all of that. But I felt like, what is going to happen? It's going to happen. And for me, that was marvelous. Like, even imagine I got 16 over 20 on French. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what the doctor put in my mind. Like, I feel so smart now.
So must have been a humbling, those moments, those very strenuous, difficult moments are humbling. They're humbling. They ground you. You realize how life is short and how you need to live. You need to push forward, and so that was a very important moment for you.
That was, I believe, it's funny because the other day I was in a gathering, and when I spoke about this experience, people thought it was a suffering experience. I saw light from the suffering. I didn't see it as a suffering. For me, it helped me to realize so many things later. Like, one of the main one is my true name. Reina, R-E-N-A, it means reborn. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, whoa. And then since I was young, I always add an I.
Pardon me, you added an I. Why would you?
I just didn't feel Reina as Rena. It didn't sound right. And I felt I wanted more a feminine name, let's say, which is like, I believe that everyone is named for a reason, and they hold an energy in their name, which is fantastic. By the way, if you go and start googling and knowing what your real name is sometimes it shows you that with what kind of mission you have. At the age of 30, I've realized that my name was reborn. And this is when I embraced my name. Because being reborn on my birthday again in 1997 and having to live this raw food life that felt alive again. And this is how the projects came to be born. Plus, I worked a lot on myself too, so I can believe more in myself and start this self-love and self-discovery and self-awareness and self-respect that brought me to who I am today. It's a path.
Yeah.
It's a long path.
Do you see it as a position of leadership, to be able to inspire others and to have cohesive thoughts and offer these words to people in order to enlighten them? Do you see that as a leadership position, or is that too formal? Or
being a leader is being someone who's ready to jump in the crowd and show them the way. That's a leader. The leader is not someone who's standing up on the balcony and telling people what to do. You need to be in the crowd, with the crowd, showing them exactly what's happening. And by being a leader, in my case, is being someone who actually worked on that. So I can show whomever is requesting or wanting to be there for them. So yes, I can call myself a leader. And I was always like someone who would initiate things. And I was never afraid to initiate stuff. By creating events, by bringing people together, by jumping in the first opportunity that I might have or that comes to me, saying, okay, I'm going to try it. And by doing that is, after the whole transformation in 2015, I started traveling with an institute in Florida called Hippocrates Health Institute. And it's an institute that promotes raw food that I didn't know about. And I only met them in October 2014.
That was a coincidence?
That was a coincidence.
Because your raw food was 2010?
Yeah. It was a coincidence. And because what I love about my life is that I experience and confirmation comes in. And it's not like I learn and then something happens. And it's funny because I never used to be someone who reads or do research and stuff. So I would experience. And then bang, it comes to me. I'm like, okay, that means this. So, okay, now I know that, And in 2014, I was invited to the conference of the co-director. His name is Brian Clement, who came to Montreal with Credescence. And at that time, I didn't want to go because, I felt that it was a bit overpriced to go. And then I was invited by someone. I actually invited that someone by mistake because we were at Credescence with a friend of mine, and then he was sitting adjacent to us, so I invited him in, and when I left I paid for the table, like without even thinking. And then when you do something, things come back to you.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that you do it out of your heart without even your mind or what you're gonna gain out of it, so many beautiful things can come out. And it did come out. He invited me to this conference, and this is where I met the crew. And then when I did meet the crew, I did events with one of the ladies, and then they created something in Florida, and I was invited to, and everything happened. Like literally, if I go deeper in every details, I'm like, what kind of synchronicities are these? Like I kind of flew almost with no cost. Everything was just spread. So when I did the 3-month traveling with them, 2 weeks per month, we did the whole East Coast. They asked me in June of 2015, oh, how about you invite Brian to Montreal? And I'm like, I lost my job in October. So I didn't really have a budget to say, okay, let's do it. Without even thinking, I said yes. And it took me a month and a half to find a location. And the event was in September. And it was supposed to be a 1-day event. And then he said, oh, he's coming to Montreal. Let's do a 2-day events. I'm like, okay. And then the 3rd day was born. Because some people start calling me and they're like, okay, we want to be speaking at the conference and all of that. I'm like, wow, 3 days, wow, no budget, wow.
No budget.
Okay, literally.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it because I wanted to make money out of it. I wanted to do it to create opportunities for people to learn. Education for me is free. And if people don't learn how to take care of themselves, how will they know? So by creating this experience, this information, with all these amazing people who were presenting, all these beautiful people who were there as vendors and showing and giving and explaining what they're doing, was an amazing weekend. I was blown away. I'm like, there was a quality of people. Volunteers were amazing. Like literally, like if I have planned it, it wouldn't have gone that way. But I went with no plans. Every day was opening up something new.
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, you can't force destiny. You need to let the universe guide you. It's a leap of faith. You go in a direction and you let events or things unfold as they should, and you're surrounded by people, and you just have to let things happen. You can't really, it's a leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it feels genuine when it happens that way. It feels, if it's all those important, like those good values, when you let it happen that way, like empathy comes into play, and you feel connections to everybody around.
It was
beautiful. It must have felt pretty good.
Yeah. Even getting translators, getting the whole equipment, and then the people who, were there with the equipments are amazing. The translator was amazing. Even I had someone filming. He was amazing. I'm like, oh my God. Like everything happened in a perfect shape and form. The speakers, the vendors, the people, everything. It was like, for me, it was one of the best gifts. And I cannot deny that everybody was there together collectively to bring something forth to the whole community. It wasn't my work alone. It was everybody's work.
Was it the sense of community that gave you that feeling of accomplishment? Because before that, had you ever had any situations where you were surrounded by people that shared the same common goal? You'd never had that before, or did you?
Well, the thing is, when I came in and I said, okay, this is the idea. That's what I'm doing, and slowly things started building up. Is when you are in a space of alignment. Of feeling grateful, let's say, you will attract the people.
Yeah.
And when you attract the people, you build a community.
Yeah, and you reach out, and it's positive people. It's people that share the
same values.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened. I had amazing people as support. They were there, they were present, they were helping, they were facilitating, like it only takes a yes moment to say, yes, I'm doing that. Without fear, and then everything come into place. The same thing what happened when I took a group of people to Costa Rica. Yeah. I met the godfather of raw food, Viktoras Kalvinskas, who was the co-founder of Hippocrates. In Hippocrates during that moment, and he said, and we were just talking. He's like, hey, do you want to come to Costa Rica and maybe bring a group of people and then create a retreat? I'm like, me, Costa Rica, you know what? Yes.
yes, for sure. Why not?
and then through that year I worked on, and then we did with a couple of amazing people also, we went there, and it's funny because just before that, when I was telling you at one point that I didn't see myself through my own eyes because people say, oh my God, you have something. I'm like, I don't know what I have. I'm like everyone. And I stood in one of my leadership forum workshop at Bombardier with my late coach. And I said, I'm going to travel to learn who I am. And during that trip, and even many other trips that I've done, I've learned that I can be there, I can guide, I can create, I can lead. But it's not me who's doing that. It's the energy that goes through me. It's this channeling. It's when you are in a place of harmony, you co-create with life. You co-create with people. You co-create with the oneness that's around you.
Yeah, when you demonstrate compassion and you use your empathic powers, you can connect with people that you'll enable those people, and in return they give you power, they give you energy, and it just builds positive. It builds positive connections. Yeah, I feel that. Well, you're an empath. Is that what it is? You're an empath. You have empathic powers where you understand people's energy and their positive energy, and you make it more.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'm that. We learn every day who we truly are, and then when I can feel people's energy, when I can feel their sadness, when I can feel their joy, when I can guide them into stepping out of their own patterns and limitations to get into something new, it's still like, even though I guide people, I still do it on my own.
Yeah.
I need to work on myself.
Humility.
Before working on others.
Yeah.
I'm not better than anyone. We all have the same pure soul. We just live and experience life differently. And when you change, everything changes around you.
That's true. Well, when you ate that raw food and you came out of that place and you felt that you changed because you were biologically, you'd absorbed those nutrients and you felt so much better, you really found something. And I guess that's the same thing for positive thinking and positive conditioning, where when you have that right state of mind. And I talked about Ram Emerson, he explained it on a prior podcast. It's the flow state is when you're very focused and you're on that positive way of thinking, you can influence others. But do you think that the empathic ability, is that over stimulating, or is it too much sometimes when you feel the people around you and their sadness? Do you find that has that been something that has affected you somewhere, where you see people, you feel their sadness? Do you find that overbearing or too much for it?
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Because you try to lift them up, but they're not ready to receive.
Yeah.
And then, as much as you love helping, you cannot change people.
Yeah.
They need to take their own decisions to make the step.
Yeah, you can't save everybody, eh? That's sad.
We're not saviors. We're here to be who we are and show our model. And if anyone is interested, that they can follow. But they're not following us. They're following themselves, their own instinct, their own intuition to be who they want. I'm not here to change people. I can express, I can speak, I can talk, I can share. Only the people who are ready, they're going to ask me to help, or maybe ask me to guide them into finding other people to help them. It
takes a lot of patience.
It takes guts to say, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, because when someone's not ready, or a group of people around you are not ready, and you would like them to understand your point of view and what you're explaining, to achieve in an enlightened state, it's frustrating, but you can't give in to that frustration. You need to be patient, and that's difficult.
You need to be more open as a person who would love others to see what you see, to be ready to actually see. Because you help them remove this blurry eyes to have a better vision, but only when they're ready to see, to put the right glasses on. And not a lot of people are ready right away, unless they experience one thing different.
Yeah, a lesson of humility. They need to experience a situation where they understand that they don't need to latch on to their own things and protect their things and block other people out. They can be transparent and lower their defenses and just understand that other people are can be positive and kind.
But we all go through this process. I was never I might not have been born humble and with a lot of humility. I had to learn through the.
Man, you explained it before. You went through those humbling events. The 1997 was the first time, or maybe you had other occasions in your life prior to that, but that was a major event in your life where your first time that you were reborn. That was a very important moment, and some people I don't think they have those. Not everybody has those events that will teach them humility.
But what I say, why do we have to wait for something to happen to wake up?
I think we can force destiny a little bit.
Life does test you, big time. But why do we have to go through a disease, an accident, a loss, a grief, or whatever else to be awakened? Why?
If you're someone that has gone through a lot of rough stuff in your life, you don't necessarily understand those compassion, empathy, those values around love. Not everybody is able to achieve that.
These are just layers.
I know.
And it's learning how to. It's not easy. Going through the hardest thing in life is not easy. Forgiving is one of the hardest thing to do. But when you do it, you feel so much good.
Yeah, that's true.
Even to the people who hurt you the most. If they say God is forgiving, why us as humans cannot be? When someone is ready to forgive, all the layers of hatred will leave. Why do we need to live in life of hatred and war and separation? Now with this pandemic, people are afraid of each other. They found the right way, whatever happened in this world, found the right way to create this fear of us.
So you mean, if I understand correctly, you're saying that this situation of the COVID has been politicized and people have been using that to have leverage and make money or use that to get power over other people and prevent people from talking or prevent people from meeting and discussing ideas. And
listen, honestly, I prefer not to go into there because it's a big subject by itself. The only thing I would say is that at the beginning of it, it was good because it allowed us to pause on our life.
That's true. That's
so instead of running like a rat,
being in a capitalistic system,
stop.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Be at home, understand who you are, learn to be you, and learn to see the other that's living inside in the same household. See them as they truly are.
No anxiety.
And create this communication, transparent place. Some have realized that the person who they live with, they're so compatible with, and it's beautiful. And some realize that there's no more compatibility. And some had gone through so much that they needed to exit. So it actually took us into a place of realization.
Yeah.
What am I realizing from this situation? So the idea is put the fear aside. When the fear is not there, only love exists. And if I'm not in control, if I am to die, I'm to die. Why? The main question, the biggest question now that's testing is that, are you afraid of death?
Well, I haven't been through that many life-threatening events, so...
But this is a life-threatening event. No, but I'm not talking to you in general as you. I'm talking in general, like if I would ask people.
I know it is a life-threatening situation, the COVID-19, and me personally, I'm healthy. I don't have asthma, so if I get it, I probably would have to go to the hospital, but I won't. I'm more concerned about giving it to someone else.
Yes.
People that are around me that have lower immune systems or are older or have certain genetic diseases like asthma that they would really suffer if they got that disease. So for me personally, I'm not necessarily in a situation where I'm very afraid, but I am concerned about the people around me and I want them to be safe. So I act accordingly.
Absolutely.
I don't live in fear. I am careful and I am stressed when I go outside and I go in public and I go in a store and I don't, like, I'm careful of what I touch and all that stuff. And this is new to me, but I don't live in fear. I'm not afraid of that new situation. But for life-threatening things, I haven't been through that many things aside from this situation. I haven't been through war here in Quebec. We're lucky. We're fortunate to live in this country that is not afflicted by war. So I can't say that I'm like, you understand what I'm saying?
I do. But the way I'm seeing things now is that,
like, I'm fascinated by you because you're able to rationalize and you're able to not preach, but maybe preach, but you're able to convey information that is very zen, very peaceful, and you seem like a very loving person, and you're very in tune with empathy and compassion, and that's impressive because you've probably certainly been through way more than I have. And so you're an inspiration. That's very inspiring to me, someone that has been through all of these things. I'm really happy that you're here to talk and explain your views. It's very important because me, I haven't been through anything.
Speaking about the situation now, what's happening in all over the world, is that, when you're walking, people are walking and then they're seeing the virus next to them, so they're afraid of it. And then wherever you go to anywhere, to any place, there's no more this kindness, this compassion, this love. You feel it in the eyes of people. You feel it in the way they're speaking to you sometimes. And this is bringing this frequency of fear. And being in the frequency of fear is not gonna take us in a good place.
That's true.
Let's help each other collectively to bring the spirit of love, of compassion, of kindness. Yes, we worry about our loved ones, but don't forget our loved ones are being taken care of. There's a higher spirit for each taking care of them. When you start with yourself and then with everybody around you, helping them by taking care of their immunity system, boost your immunity system. Eat the healthy food. Eat the right food, the clean food, the clean water. Think positive. Connect to the positive people around you. Elevate your spirit. You can help elevating the spirit of everyone, the elderly, the young, everyone. But when you create a society of fear, oh, put your mask, don't go, don't touch. But, we need to be hygienic. We are hygienic. You wash yourself every day, every moment. You wash your hands whenever you do or use anything,
I cleaned this table before you came here, and I disinfected the microphone.
Thank you. No, but you know what I mean? It's something that is part of our day-to-day life. We haven't done something different of not washing our hands after we use something, or you clean the table after you eat, or you clean your house every now and then. And it's part of the hygiene. It's part of who you are. I'm an OCD person. But I'm not going to become way over OCD by every time I buy my groceries, I'm going to clean them up before I put them in. Any bacteria particle is part of our ecosystem.
Yeah, that's true.
And, the kids, the babies, they touch everything, they use everything, they put them in their mouth, they want to walk, they're building their microorganism bodies. And we are built from that.
That's true.
We touch each other. We connect to everything, and
yeah, that's true.
We live in a microbes.
It's our ecosystem.
Absolutely,
that's true. And it's the live and let die approach. And I'm at that point now where, here we're careful, and we were more fortunate because it seems like in Quebec we were hit a little bit more than other provinces, but people were careful. And I like going outside and going to the grocery store, and I see the people there. They're careful. People are careful. They care for other people. And I like seeing that. Mm-hmm. That's important.
As long as they don't look at the person as a virus.
No, that's true. No,
being kind, compassionate, loving, caring is important.
It is.
And that's what we need to always keep reminding ourselves.
Yes, and I agree with you. We need to be healthy. We need to I personally take vitamins. I don't know if you believe in that stuff, but I do take vitamins. I am careful with my food. I am a positive thinker. I have that, and I'm learning today, just talking with you and adjusting my way of thinking so that I can be better. And that impacts health inevitably, obviously, if you have healthy thinking and healthy diet, inevitably for sure has an impact on your own health. And I talked about that with Ram Domerson on the other podcast. And instead of just wearing the mask and living in fear, there's also that's very important, is having healthy living and positive thinking. And
the breath is everything.
I got to slow down. I'm talking too fast.
The breath is everything.
Yes.
We're covering our breath. Just simply make sure you don't cover it when you're in nature.
Do you do that? Do you try the meditation and breathing? Have you tried that?
Oh, yeah.
How is that? Meditation, let's say yoga or meditation. I haven't done it, so I might sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But meditation and breathing, and because again, Ram Domerson told me about a certain Kundalini, I think it was, where you have like a rush of DMT when you reach that level of the certain breathing. And
first thing to ask is that, how aware are you of your own breath?
When I feel that I have anxiety, I'm gonna start breathing through my nose and then breathe in to the maximum, and then hold your breath and then breathe out.
Yeah,
it removes all anxiety within 2 minutes.
But why do we wait for anxiety to happen to connect to the breath?
Because I got to run outside. I got to do my groceries. I got to come back. I got to do some work.
But you can be mindful about the breath.
I do that when I work out because it helps with the muscles.
Sometimes people hold their breath without realizing, thinking that they're breathing, but they're not.
They're super stressed out. They're working. They're sweating. They're like busy and producing and being competitive with others, and they just stop breathing.
Yeah. So being mindful, conscious, present with your breath is your gift of life.
That's a basic thing. Some rock stars even have their oxygen tanks waiting for them at the side of the stage, and they go take a little whiff of oxygen just to get them back on track when they do music shows. Allegedly, from what I've heard.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I've heard that somewhere.
Take time, go out, breathe, walk in nature, connect to the earth, connect to the water. We have a beautiful planet to take care of.
Is that really important for you, the environment? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How does that impact your everyday life?
Through the transformation I did through the food, it allowed me to cut on eating meat. So I'm not investing in the meat production and in creating those unhealthy, fair way for animals to live. I'm not throwing garbage everywhere. I'm recycling. I don't use any chemical on my body. I create my own creams through whatever I find in my kitchen. Everything we have is coming from Earth. So, not using any chemicals, trying to use only natural stuff, trying to not eat a lot of meat, especially the abused animals, recycling, using the water correctly, the electricity correctly, like many things, and they're easy. And stop consuming. Oh my God.
Yeah, overconsumption. I know. Oh, it's sad. Yeah, we were promised a lot of things. I don't necessarily want to do a history course there, but we were promised that capitalism would generate wealth and people would be happy and everything would be conveniently given to us and we could go to the grocery store or to the restaurant or to the stores to get whatever we needed and to compensate for, but we don't, there was something that we lost at some point in that when we thrived or we tried to have that capitalistic goal of owning things. And we lost touch, we lost our roots, we disconnected to the essential.
We disconnected from humanity.
No, we did.
And we became consumers.
And COVID has made things clear that we are disconnected and we need to change. And
But this virus came to awaken all the population, all over the world.
Yeah.
So I invite people, instead of being in fear, go deep inside and find this beautiful flower that's inside, this beautiful diamond that's inside. Be grateful that you are still alive.
Like you're saying, you're inviting people and to be more connected with what's inside. But at the same time, through the internet, or we're communicating more and more with others, I find that that's very interesting. There's a spiritual discovery, which is more perhaps like inside, obviously. But there's a communication with others and there's an exchange of ideas, which that I find very interesting as well.
Because once you experience, you want to share.
Yes.
And once you experience and you share, you teach.
And we shouldn't put money on, or put a price tag on knowledge or on information.
When the 13th of March, when they said there's a lockdown, the first thing that came to my mind, how am I going to be able to support all these people? I opened a Zoom account. I paid for it. And I started setting 5 days a week online meditation for free. Healing meditation. So every day I had something. And every Friday I had 3 hours support group with a friend of mine from Lebanon to the people in Lebanon, because Lebanon has been going through so much over the years, and specifically since the revolution, more and more. And I said, I need to be there for people. And whatever it takes, I'll do it. And I did, and I'm so happy that through the time, I spent 2 months doing that.
Do you want to give the name of that? Is that an account like people can go watch your meditation?
For the meditation, I haven't started it yet online, but I will. I'm looking forward to. They can follow me on Raw Healing, either on the website rawhealing.ca, or on Instagram, or on Facebook. That's what I post everything.
Okay.
And if ever, I even opened 15 minutes free energy healing. People can just book it on my website. When you live in uncertainty, everybody gets fear, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? How am I going to be able to pay my stuff?
Anxiety.
How am I going to be able to do this? But then, I open the space for them to just express, speak. Whenever you express, you don't hold in. And when you don't hold in, you feel like something of you is being released.
And with everything going on in Lebanon, are there other venues of information, like other channels of information? How can those ideas be, like, obviously my idea for this podcast was also to convey the urgency of what is going on in Lebanon. So I was curious to know if there are other channels or what's going on. How can I contribute? How can I, aside from offering this time that I have and my knowledge through podcasting, how can I contribute to the communication and to helping the communication help move things forward? And
it's interesting. I left Lebanon when I was 22. And I've lived the war days when I was much younger. I don't really remember much of it. For me, what I remember is being with the family, with the friends, and just this protection of our parents that was super present. And seeing myself now where my parents are there and not being able to protect them is not easy. And even not only my parents, like the family and then the friends and then the people who are really suffering, there's a big corruption there. All the politicians are super corrupted. They don't even blink to what's happening. Imagine that. Lebanese people came together on October 17. They went together in all the squares, in every street in Lebanon to say, we are one. We are Lebanese. We want our rights.
No matter the religion, no matter the belief.
The religions, no matter the separations, no matter the parties. It all came together. For me, it gives me so much shivers because I used to write a lot. And in 2012, I felt this energy when I was there that this earth, being at Lebanon, it was pushing me away. I felt this. The earth was engraved with hatred, with war, with blood, with so many things. I'm like, oh my God, like I cannot believe the place that gave me birth is pushing me away. And the place I call home is Montreal, Canada, that brought me in and took me in. And I couldn't really relate, how can a country like that push their babies away? And that's how I felt. Going in 2017, everything happened for me to be there. And I'm like, but I wasn't ready to go. But by being there, I started connecting to the people who are highly spiritual, highly open. And I'm like, something is different. There is something new. That brought me in again in 2018. And I stayed for a much longer time. And I felt, and I was, every person I was connecting with, the word I was saying, oh my God, those souls are connecting. So we come together and, tu refais la terre, you change the earth. When you want to plant seeds, what you do is you change the earth, you run it. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. You change the earth.
You change the earth. So we came together as a collective people of highly positive, spiritual, loving, kind, and compassionate to change something. And I felt that together we're planting new seeds. And 2019, the same thing. We felt like we're doing that. And then bang, October 17, 2019. Those seeds started seedling. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I've never lived anything like this in my adult life or my teen life before, that where people came together. Because every time there's something in Lebanon, I would be away. So I've never lived this manifestations or this activism. And I didn't know I was activist myself. So it brought something in me that I didn't know I had. And during those days, I know I come from Tripoli, which is the north of Lebanon. I know from Tripoli and all over Lebanon, like from the north to the Beirut, to the areas in between, and then to the south, people came together as one, as humans, as loving and kind and supportive. People created spaces outside to discuss, to communicate, to express, to share ideas, information. How can we change? How can we make this country better? It was fantastic. All the people I was connecting with, I'm like, oh my God, look, this is happening. We are the change. Something is changing. And then COVID came in. But then before that, we were trying to ask for the politician to resign, to step out. Because we're done. We're done from having the people since the war days and even before to stay, how do I say it, like...
repressed?
Not repressed, like they don't want to leave their chairs.
Oh, the leaders, they want to stay in power.
They're not leaders. If they were leaders, they would know what to do.
Yeah.
But I would never call them leaders. They are truly corruptors. They've corrupted the country. They've corrupted everything. All they care about is the money, thinking that one day they can eat the money. Well, they won't. You know? And until they I don't know, decide to resign, maybe something better is going to happen. But now most of my friends are calling me like, how can we immigrate? During the revolution, I felt like there's a need, like everybody did something. And I was very happy to be able to teach the kids that were running in the streets, like some yoga, some meditation. And I'm like, wow, there's so much to be done there.
I saw that the economy problem is I mean, the devaluation of the money, and there's also the fact that there's a lot of import. There's not that much production in the country itself, and the local economy. How would Lebanon benefit in growing the local economy? Like, what are the solutions? What solutions do you think are possible?
Yeah, the thing is, we need to find the pillars that would allow the country to stand on their feet. And one of the pillars is, for many people, is being able to provide the food, the ingredients, and having a Lebanon as a beautiful ecosystem for lands and for growth. But at the same time, not a lot of people have lands. But they all have at least either a rooftop or a balcony. Like I've been growing my own food on my balcony in the normal way with pots and earth. But then there's definitely other ways available, like aquaponic or hydroponic. And it's less consumption of water or electricity, and it grows a lot of food. Like you can even have food for your own household and for the neighbors. I don't know if you know Lufa Farm.
Lufa Farm, no.
Lufa Farm is one of the biggest hydroponic commercial farm in Montreal. And guess who is the owner?
Who is the owner?
He is a Lebanese.
He is?
He is Lebanese.
Wow.
And he created this, what he called it, because I was looking at him up the other day, he created a software company, a technology company, because he needed to make sure the atmosphere is right, the environment is right, not allowing insects in, and raising and farming food and all kinds of vegetables in a specific ecosystem, which is organic, because there's no pesticides, no fungicides. And it's beautiful. And he's feeding, most of the people, because you can purchase or subscribe to their basket. So imagine if you do that in your home. Well, if I'm speaking about Lebanon, it's in their home. And I actually have met someone in there who does that, who has his own farm built on hydroponic and aquaponic. And he's able also to teach people. And so I was thinking one of the projects, if it might happen, is by having people there who are ready to learn how to build that. By having this friend of mine who can teach that. And by raising money from foreigners, immigrants all over the world, to create that funnel of purchasing the material, of creating the space to build those hydroponic plants and farming. And this way we can build one pillar for the Lebanese people living in Lebanon by creating the food and have more abundance of food. So this way no one will say, oh my God, I'm going to be hungry, because no one will get hungry. That's one of the pillars. Another pillar is how to create more self-sustaining living. Self-sustaining living, especially with no electricity. So now, well, it has been forever. Lebanon don't have electricity more than, usually it used to be like 6 to 4 hours per day or 10 hours per day. And now it's 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and 2 hours at night in the middle of the heat in the summer. And people are suffering from that. So there's no electricity. That means there's no air conditioning. Especially during the COVID, people are at home, so it's suffocating. And so it's how to find an ecosystem way to create the electricity, or create, by having solar systems. So how can we as immigrants or as foreigners help Lebanese people to build something like that? And finding the perfect trainers who are ready to support and just gathering a bit of funding to build that, and no one needs to make a profit out of it, as long as we are able to create a community of people, of helpers, of volunteers to build something. That's another pillar. So you have the pillar of food, the pillar of sustainability through electricity, through water, having clean water. It's something important. And another pillar, like what kind of other pillar? Money comes and go, It's not fun at all to have the dollar being devaluated. So a dollar that used to be times 1.5 is now times almost 10. And it might go up. So the people who their salary was based on Lebanese lira is so much devalued, like it's worth nothing now. And so this creates, like, we already, before the COVID, before the revolution, many Lebanese are much beyond poverty level. Very sad.
And the countries that usually will invest money or help, the Emirates or Iran or France or Europe are not there currently. They're not investing because
we're always waiting for an outside source to help us. Why do we always wait for the outside source? It's similar to what we do to ourselves. Why do we need to wait for something from the outside to make us who we are as a human? It's the same thing for a country. We can collectively come together to make a change. Why can't we take this opportunity? A lot of people don't see it as an opportunity because it's sad. Yes, it is sad. But from every sadness, there's an opportunity. There's a lot of crafts artisan in Lebanon that stopped doing what they do because of the import, because it's cheaper. Most of the furniture, the wood, we had in Tripoli specifically, we had many woodwork people that does amazing stuff. No one uses it anymore. Although here, like I have friends here in Montreal, they do normal jobs, but they found their passion in crafts and in woodwork. There's so many things, like we only need to scratch the top to find what's inside in the bottom.
That's another pillar is the know-how.
The know-how. And we have a lot of know-how. All they need to do in Lebanon is to teach it to the upcoming generation. Because instead of or putting it, like we have natural soap, we have Lebanese authentic pastries, we have all the furniture, wood furniture, we have definitely maybe herbal plants that are medicinal. I'm sure there's much more maybe I'm not aware of.
Undoubtedly, there's got to be more.
There's also the glasswork crafts, which people are like, it's being almost, it's gone. Even making all kinds of furniture, or the old ways of making the mattress.
Oh, really?
Which is super natural. There's so many things, many things. And then we just toss it in because we think that the Western are better. They know what they have better stuff. So we lose our power as population because we see the outside having better lives, which is not. We can exchange things, like we can give from what we have, but then we stopped giving from what we have because we're only taking. And this importing is dollar-wise much higher, because when you import something on a value of $1 and creating whatever you need to sell it in the country, that value of that is going to increase so much, specifically in these times. So it doesn't make sense.
Well, that struggle is a struggle that we can all relate to, like any country in the world can relate to that, the struggle of Lebanon, because we need to buy local. We need to create a local economy, and we need to have strong pillars like the pillars you just mentioned right now. And the economy across the world is not doing that great. Capitalism is at the end of its project, and there is a need for a change now. There needs to be an enlightenment, personally, cooperatively, and socially, or on a country scale. There needs to be a change now, an evolution away from the capitalistic promises that are it's at the end of that capitalistic game now. I think that we've come to understand that.
You know what makes me sad about Lebanon is that they are deforesting places to create them, to make just a profit. Politicians are profiting by purchasing or selling projects like that, which is deforesting, removing a lot of amazing historical places. You know, that's one subject. Another subject, they say, oh, Lebanon is so rich, they have oil, petrol, like we need to dig in the water.
Yeah, they discovered that recently.
Really? Do we really need to dig in the water? People are moving from that to
sustainable.
Wind and sustainable and solar. Why do we need petrol? Like, why? It's not going to make our life better. It's going to destroy our sea. You know, why people value money more than they value earth? Money, at one point, you can print as much as you want. If it doesn't have a value that sustain it, it's going to fade away. Earth, the more you plant, the more it grows, the more it gives. Money, you cannot plant it. You cannot eat it. It will be devalued very soon. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
So I don't understand why people are urging to have money. Money doesn't bring happiness.
But I like the idea of hydroponics and having roofs with vegetable or gardens. Those ideas are really interesting. Yeah. And the loofah idea is the owner actually
Lebanese?
He's Lebanese, but I mean, is he applying his knowledge or what he's doing?
In Lebanon?
Yeah, has he?
I don't know. I hope so. I want to try to reach out to him. Maybe he would be interested to join forces with the people in Lebanon. When the people over there, a group of people from different regions are ready to step into this kind of project, that would be great, especially with the friend I know from there.
Can you mention your friend on the podcast? Can we look at his page? Does he have a page for his project? Or
I think it's called Aquaponic Lebanon.
Okay, let's just have a look.
His name is Guillaume.
Because it might be interesting to mention his name.
He's even giving an explanation how to do it at home.
And when was this? This was June 23rd of this year?
Yes.
Okay, so this is new. He's bringing solutions.
Yeah, well, he already has a solution because he already is farming with that since many years.
It's tried and tested. It works.
Oh, yeah, it does work. The only thing we need to know is have it multiplied on every roof and every balcony.
Yes. And the government obviously won't pay for like that project.
Oh, no,
They won't pay.
Forget the government. No,
so it needs to be, I'm interested to know whenever, if like after this podcast for the next few weeks, if ever you get in touch with him, just let me know what's going on with this. This is interesting, his project.
Well, he definitely has the company, so he built his own farm, and he can also create the farms for the people. The project I was speaking about is the possibility to come together as a community and build it in different households.
Yes.
By maybe fundraising for the money for the project, because money value is not available now in Lebanon, and in order to create this feeling of self-sustainability of food is through that.
It's strange. A few years ago, I worked on before this podcast. I was working on a podcast with a client of mine, Pierre Blackburn, and we had the Blackburn podcast, and we met this guy who built an earth ship in near here, in Mauricie, in the province of Quebec. And that's what he did. He exactly what Guillaume was showing on Lebanon with the twist, the hydroponics, but with the fish under the.
This is the aquaponic.
Aquaponics. Sorry.
He does both. He does aquaponic and hydroponic.
Very interesting technology, and so we went to. That was 5 years ago, according to YouTube. So we had an interview with Benoit Deschamps. Pierre Blackburn talked with Benoit Deschamps about the Earth ship, and what he was going to do a few weeks later is have the aquaponic system in his house. Yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Earth ship. It's a self-sustainable house. So this is in Mauricie. We went there, and his house wasn't even finished, and but he was fascinating. It was really inspiring. So aquaponics is a really promising technology. It works, and if people can have that in their households, it could. They would be off the grid. It would decentralize you wouldn't be attached to the system. The
anymore.
System. You would be, and it's not to destroy the whole economy or the whole system. It's just that this allows for people to survive on their own. They have their own means of eating and creating food and having, and plus you're connected to nature. You're connected to the garden, and you go back to the core values of being human. And
when I was mentioning to you before that I've been going to Lebanon over the past few years, more often actually. Before I never used to go as much, and I've been meeting amazing people, and one of them has purchased a land up in the Shuf area, and she's building a hobbit house.
Really? Wow.
Yes. And she has a beautiful land right over a small river, and she built even like toilets and washrooms, and she people can go and camp there, and they do retreats, and I have given workshops up there.
You've been there? Oh wow! Can we see photos? Is there photos?
It's called Lee, Lee Patterns. Yeah, so this is what it is.
Oh wow!
And now here the video, they're building the Hobbit house, and this is their kitchen, the community kitchen, and this is the waterfalls, and then the lake.
Oh my! And
this is where we sit down, and people can camp, and she even created an oven from cob oven.
Really?
She's amazing. Her name is Naila, and her husband, he's in permaculture.
Really?
And he has something we call Shams permaculture, and they do a lot of tinctures and medicinal herbs, and I'm like, wow, I couldn't believe that I was meeting those people, and it's wonderful. So much has been done in Lebanon, and it's fascinating for me. And then there's other locations where people do. We did also events. It's called a Cedar Campground. You go up, you're camping in the cedars.
That's another project. This is not here. That's would it be possible to find it on Google? Maybe we could just. And that's another. You went to Lee Patterns in 2019 or
2018.
You went there in 2018, and you went to the Cedar Campground afterwards.
Yeah, just put Lebanon. Maybe it's better.
Oh.
Yeah, if you go on Facebook, this is it. Yeah. Cedar campsite. Yeah. Yeah, this is.
I'm fascinated. Because I don't know much about Lebanon. But there are so many things that are happening that I don't see how, if the people come together, how they can fail. They
can never fail.
No, they can't.
Lebanese people have gone through a lot, and they were always able to find a way to stand on their feet again. So, funny enough, during the past 2 years, I've been taking a friend of mine building retreats in Lebanon and teaching people and going from one location to another region. Like we've turned Lebanon, toured Lebanon many times, and it's marvelous. And the people we meet, the heartfelt, the warmth, the hospitality is amazing. There's so many beautiful projects happening, and now with the NGOs, we have so many NGOs there. They're also helping a lot in the camps, refugee camps, teaching kids. I have a friend who's the VP of another NGO. It's called Amort, AMURT, and they're doing amazing things, teaching kids so many beautiful things and building so many projects. So much.
I'm impressed. The people can't fail if all those beautiful projects are coming to fruition and people come together, and no matter the religion and with the help. I mean, personally with this podcast, I mean, this is a little bit underground podcast, but I will communicate this information. I will participate in this. Propagation of the information and passing this information around, and connections need to be made. That's we're living in this incredible time where communication is there and the internet is here, and we can talk and we can.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful time, and if I can contribute to a small amount to this enlightenment.
Well, it's very heartfelt from you to feel that way, and I'm so thankful. The most thing they need is funding. That's what they need, because now they need the fresh dollars so that they don't have to convey the dollars into the black market, so that they can have it at a fair price in the Lebanese lira. And just to mention, both my parents and my late grandma, and they are volunteering at a social service center. They host 300 people, elderly people. They have different departments, and it's more of a place to help like people handicapped or have any kind of handicapped or mental illness, and even elderly. It's called, if you want to go check it out. It's a social service, Lebanon.
Okay, so your parents, your mother and your grandmother, you said?
My mother, my late grandma, my dad, and many other people.
Yes.
They're volunteering to keep this center sustainable. And me and my friend who were here in Montreal, that went from Montreal to Lebanon, we went there and we gave some Thai yoga massage to some elderly people. They loved it. It was a way to give back, and that's they also need funding. So it's like, how can we help? And maybe even if let's say some centers here, medical centers, they have some beds they don't use, or they need to give them away, or anything that's in the medical field that they need to give away. They need to open more spaces to receive more people.
Maybe someone will see what you just said right now, and will know the answer to your question for the funding. I'm really happy that we had this conversation today, because it's enlightened me, and I've been inspired by your stories, and if I can contribute just a little bit to helping out, I'm so happy that I'm able to do this today on this podcast. And
well, I'm sure you're contributing already just by inviting me here and allowing me to share my story, what I've been through, and also to convey the country I came from, and how the people over there, they're suffering. Because even that I'm living here in Montreal, and I guess I'm lucky by living here, I cannot feel the full happiness knowing that the Lebanese people who are still in the country in Lebanon are suffering. My happiness cannot be fulfilled because of my empathy towards what's happening, and trying from here to find a solution, a way to come together to help. It doesn't have to be money helping only. It can be any other thing, just by purchasing from any manufacturing company there, or any small local business that's there. It will help providing life to the employees and to the people. At the end of the day, we're a big, big family, and we cannot just let our children starve.
Are there any other things that we haven't addressed, or things that you perhaps wanted to talk about that we haven't in the podcast? Or
a conversation lasts forever. What we've done today, I believe, is that I introduced myself on my deepest insides, so I can be more authentic and transparent to what was coming in and what I've shared and what we have contributed together to bring in this beautiful podcast together.
Thank you, Reina Hallab, and I thank you so much for being here today. Are there any links or websites that you want to send people that they might want to have more information about your work and your projects?
Well, my main work is on a website called rawhealing.ca. It's in a way they can book with me any healing session. When I say healing, I guide them into their own healing, because everyone is their own healer. And for anything that's marketing or things that I used to be in and I'm still in, if needed, I'm not promoting it as much. It's because I bring in together people for any event productions in health and wellness. It's rawmarketing.ca. Funny, it's all about raw, because raw did change my life. And it started with my blog, and it's rawloverecipes.com, where I share some insights and some ingredients and powerful recipes, and to help someone to change their life. Yeah, so I'm available on the sites and Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, Facebook, Instagram, what would be?
It's the same.
Same.
The thing is, I might one day need your assistance in the marketing.
Okay, I'm there.
Because I have 3 of each.
So are there any, people go on your website and they're going to find the addresses to all the Facebook and the Instagram as well.
They
perfect.
can.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Reina Hallab. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for our next podcast. Maybe another insight will come up and we'll be able to share that with you and with whoever is listening.
I would love that. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.